Welcome back, everybody, to the Auto Body Edge. I'm joined here with Dino DiGiulio, a shop owner, consultant, and one of the first people to ever earn the Master Elite of Shop Management Award. Dino's awesome. He's been helping us out these past few episodes and giving us some really great advice. If you haven't seen those yet, go check them out for sure. There's some really great gold in there. So today we're going to talk about two of the most important things that really separate some successful body shop owners from the rest, which is mindset and sales. If you're running a shop and you've ever felt stuck or overwhelmed or like you're just grinding without growing, this conversation is really going to hit home. Dino's going to break down some mindset shifts that every shop needs to hear right now. So,
Yes.
Dino, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for that great introduction.
Of course.
And the awards that I've won are kind of some of them in the backdrop, but they're not achieved by sitting down and thinking that you know everything.
Mm,
The first thing I had to learn was I only know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. And once you get past that, and you are becoming a sponge on how to take in information and then apply it to what your situation is. And it took me a while to learn that. So,
mm,
talking about mindset, when I first started getting coaching, I get a weekly call from my coach. And in the very beginning, it was difficult because I'd been in business 17 years, success or no success. My net profit was a single digit, and I would get a week off a year. And I was in the shop pretty much every day, sometimes on Saturdays. So the calls would go like, "Hey, this is what I want you to work on this next week." And we got into a heated debate one day, and I don't even remember what it was over, but I was like, "You don't know my town. This is not going to work. You're from LA. I'm sorry, but this is a small town that's not going to work." And then I hung up the phone, angry. Okay, I was angry. And I'm like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is bull crap. I should never bought the program. And then the next week, he called back and he's like persistent, like, "Okay, so are we going to do this or not? Um, Tell me that you want to at least go down this road." And I finally said, "You know what? Let me just try to make you wrong." So I did it, and I made myself wrong.
mm.
It was a hard thing to take in, but I'm like, "Oh my God, what he said works." And so from that point forward, I said, "Okay, the next time we talked, I said, you know what? Your idea worked. Things are better. And I'm going to start to trust you and not become bullheaded and like I think I know it because I actually didn't know the data."
Mm.
So it was a mind shift for me. It really was. I had to start thinking like, okay, I just got to be a sponge and take as many notes as I can, just let him talk, listen to his ideas. And sometimes some of the ideas were great to get me formulated to get better marketing, public relation ideas. So it was great. And that was a shift in how I had to think because when he told me that data about you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know, it was like I thought about that for weeks. Like, what do you mean you don't? I've been doing this for 17 years. I know everything. Then I'm like, I don't know everything. So
Mm.
that was the start of my journey on training. And, in school, they teach you certain things, but they don't teach you how to learn. And that's a big piece that's missing out of the educational system. So I try to coach so you can start thinking with the ideas I have on your own. Like I'm going to give you ideas, but I want you to start thinking with these ideas. And it is a mind shift, a mindset shift on what you are thinking about because you got to change your normal habits. You got to change what you've been doing because you're in this position where you're not fundamentally having the business you want. You don't have the right technicians. Your front office is not really working for you. Your closing ratio is terrible, and on and on and on. So having that idea that you don't know everything and that no one knows everything. I don't care who you are. You can be the smartest person on the planet. You might be really good at this, but you're not good over here. And I always refer to the brain surgeon. Like I'm never going to know any of that data, nor do I care. Nor do I care to be a doctor. But I want to be the best collision shop operator that I can be so my profits aren't single digits. And by the time I got things moving in the right direction, my profits became double digits. And I had 3 months off, not a week. So it took a while, but It definitely was a shift in that direction.
Nice.
So what I run into mostly, and we can talk about this, we can talk about your mindset.
Mm,
And some people have positive ideas, and some people are always negative.
mm,
Um, I can't find good help. Well, that's a negative attitude. Um, I never had trouble finding technicians, and I was on an island in a small town that hey, everyone had to drive in 45 minutes. So I could have had that attitude, but once I learned that if I came at it with a positive attitude, mindset, right, shifting that view to like, yeah, technicians, they're everywhere, and good ones are because you're a sole operator. Anybody that's watching this does not work for an MSO. You're a single operator. Maybe you have a couple shops. But if you switch the idea to where technicians are everywhere, and they really are, because do you think they want to work for the MSO or do they want to work for a mom and pop shop that actually is a little more personal,
mm,
you know? And the only reason they don't work for those shops mostly is because they're not sure if they're going to get a paycheck or not. So they get scared about that. So that's where fear comes in. And that's where you have to have a clean, very well run operation that has great equipment. The technicians will come over. So that's the first thing that guys say is, you know, can't find good help. I mean, I could tell you everybody that I talk to runs into that. And they also say marketing doesn't work.
mm. Yeah.
And so you're coming at it from a negative idea. You know, if you come at it from a positive, again, it's a mind shift of how you're thinking. Like just start being positive. You know, everything you talk about needs to be positive. Yes, we have enough work to get through the week. Are we super busy? No, but we're going to get busier. That you have to shift that idea and change the conversation. So when someone says, "Man, this is the bad economy. This is everyone's back in school," and every month has an excuse. You start from January, it's right after the holidays. No one has any money for their deductible. You can go through every single month. Tax season,
Mm,
no one has any money. They're paying their tax bills. Or it's Christmas, or it's Thanksgiving, or it's Fourth of July weekend. Everyone's camping. But when are you going to make money? Right. So that's the decision the owner has to make. First of all, is like, okay, I need to change what I'm doing.
mm.
We're making decent money. We're not making great money, but we're making decent money. But I feel like when I leave, the shop doesn't run as well and I don't make as much money. So I can't really go on long vacations. Okay, well, that's a problem, right? We become entrepreneurs and open up a business because we think that we're going to take wheelbarrows of cash to the bank. And then we finally fast realize that that's not true all the time. Unless you get systems, processes in, solidly in, you 5S the shop, you get everything labeled and it all has a home. And
Mhm.
it's a very clean operation. Everything's painted, very nice and clean. It doesn't have to be, super lavish, but it does need to be clean.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset is being positive. That's the first start.
Mm,
And I think a lot of guys, and I'll be the first one to admit this, is fear comes in. And fear comes in when you want to buy a new piece of equipment. Man, that's a lot of money.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. But when are you gonna be able to afford that tool so you can actually repair cars properly, so you can actually make profit from that piece of equipment? So fear is going to come in many different ways. Buying a new piece of building, buying a new building, spending more money and expanding. That's pretty scary stuff. Like,
Mm,
am I going to have enough work to pay the bills? So when fear comes in, this is how I always look at it. I'm going the right direction.
mm.
If there's no fear, I'm not going hard enough or I'm not going big enough. As soon as fear sets in, yes, I want 100 locations. Holy smokes. That's pretty scary. Like, how are you going to get there?
Mm.
You know? So when you're making a decision, if fear starts to roll in, you want to embrace it and be okay with it. Like, yes, this is good. I'm going in the right direction. I need to hire this technician or I need to hire this estimator. It's scary. Am I going to be able to make payroll? Well, you won't know until you do it, until you hire that better technician and get rid of the ones that aren't producing
Mm,
and get someone that can produce and also do quality work. I mean, you got to repair the car right. You got to document it well. And, you know, when you want to hire someone, that's pretty scary. Also, getting rid of somebody.
mm,
Man, I don't want to get rid of that guy. He's actually a friend of the family,
mm.
but he's a detriment to your shop. It's like you're a business. So what I've always been trained, and I'm the opposite, fire fast, hire slow.
Yeah.
I'm always the one that hires fast and fires slow
Mm,
because it's all timing too, right? I don't want to fire them on a Monday. I'd rather fire them on a Friday, give them their last paycheck and pay them their vacation time that's owed and anything like that. So they have a couple of weeks of money in one check. But it's a difficult thing to confront. And fear comes in like, oh my God, I got to confront this guy and give him his last check.
yeah. I mean,
So,
what are some ways that you think that people can embrace that fear? Do you have a personal strategy for, I mean, when you feel fear, I know you said that that's a good thing. Is there a certain way that body shop owners can deal with that fear moving forward?
well, the first thing you have to do is recognize it, that it's there. And once you acknowledge it, yeah, this is scary shit. I'm going to spend $1 million in this new building
Hmm.
and I don't know if I'm going to have enough work. So you have to confront it right up and acknowledge that it's there. And then you just work around it. Like if you once you realize it's there, then every decision after that is going to be made knowingly that, hey, I got to make the right decision. Getting this building, is it the right thing to do? Maybe not. It might not be. This is where you ask advice. You talk to your accountant. If what are the payments? Can I make the payment on the current amount of work that I have? When I move to that location, I'm going to take a dip in my sales because I just moved. So you have to know that sales are going to drop. So you start to calculate and you write up all the pros and cons. I have a friend that, was trying to acquire the building he was in, and he was told when he took it over that he was going to be able to buy it. Well, guess what? When it came down to him purchasing the building, and it was just a metal building, it wasn't anything fancy, but the owner's like, I don't want to sell it. My such and such kid or whatever wanted to keep the building in the family and collect the rent. And so what he did is say, okay, no problem. He started looking for a concrete tilt up and he found one a year later, beautiful building, and he stretched to get it. But he's now doing successful. He had to expand the body shop because he had the space to do it and he didn't rent it out. He had one tenant and then he took over the rest of the building and then slowly took over the whole building then himself. And, his net last year was over $1 million. And the rent he was collecting on his own because he owns the building. So was it scary going into that deal? Yes. But was it a smart move for the long run? Yeah. Because if he sells his business to an MSO, he's going to be collecting rent off of that building forever.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
definitely recognize and acknowledge the fear.
I think a lot of times, I mean, we're taught to, since childhood, right? Like fear is a good thing. It keeps us safe. So I think we avoid fear, but I mean, I know in our own business we avoid fear. There's a lot of things that we are, we're looking to do or looking to embrace and you kind of turn away from it, but learning to see it as a new step, right? You kind of should embrace the fear and move forward in it. Treat it like anything else, any other big decision. Writing the pros and cons list, I think is huge. So that makes a lot of sense. And I kind of want to go back to what you were saying too on being a sponge, right? Because that's a really big point. A lot of the times, because we work in marketing, so when we talk to shop owners about marketing, they will say sometimes, "Oh, marketing doesn't work," and it doesn't work in our market, right? When in reality, marketing it works. It's just there's people out there looking for our services. We just need to get in front of that wave. And what have you done to try it, right? Like what have you how what do, why didn't it work for you, right? How much did we spend? There's a lot more that goes into it. Can you tell us more about that? Because I know that around that time in your life, it seems like you were going from the single digit profit margin to then being able to take 6 month vacations or 3 to 6 month vacations out of the year, right?
Yeah.
It seems like that was the biggest thing, and now you're embracing reading and it seems like your life has really turned around, right? Learning, so being a sponge. Could you just touch on that just a little bit more for us?
Yeah. So I think the knowledge, once you become thirsty for it, there's always these things that people say, like the richest people read 60 books a year. I don't read 60 books a year. If I can get 10 books digested, and some books I listen to most of my stuff. I do read at least one book a year, if not two, read them.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'm in the car so much, it's like I'd rather listen to the audio version, and I'll listen to that audio version multiple times, um, just to understand what I'm listening to and be able to apply that in your life, you know?
Yeah.
Um, when it became, you know, trying to embrace things, the profit came from more staff, believe it or not. We already had, and we're not talking a bunch of staff. I had to hire another estimator and then get out of the front office. And to me, that was, again, fear came in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm not going to be upfront anymore talking to my customers. What's that going to do to the business? Is actually, we started doing $10,000 more a week
Wow.
because we would get sometimes so busy in the back, I would stop selling. I just would stop selling. I'd go out there, write their estimate, and say, "Hey, here's your estimate. You know, thanks for coming in. Let us know what you want to do," and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really have someone else in that position and all they're told to do is sell, I ran the production in the back, and eventually I hired a production manager because we got so busy
Mm-hmm.
because of that. And then marketing had to come into play. And what I was trained on, and this is true with any business, you can budget your money, but outflow equals inflow.
Mm-hmm.
So phone calls, cold calls, I don't know whatever you do. So whatever business you're in, you know, it could be a cold call. It could be considered outside sales, going and visiting any business, talking to them about your business. You know, there's a lot of networking groups out there because of this, for you networking with another business to send him business and he can send you business.
Mm-hmm.
So social media, 98% of the entire United States people living, even old people, they're on social media to some degree, either Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be out there with the people. And the good thing is you can focus on your market. So you're not spending money to promote to the whole United States, just your market. So that's what's really good about social media, and it's cheaper. You
Yep.
know, we used to have the phone book ads, which were like $5,000 for all the phone books a year. You know, then we'd be in the newspaper, and it was like all this paper print. And then we'd send postcards and newsletters and thank you cards. It is easier and cheaper. You can do organic. You should be doing organic posts, talking about your customer satisfaction, customer picking up the car, and you can build this yourself, and it costs you no money, just a little bit of time. But you also want to back it with some paid ads,
Mm-hmm.
because paid ads work. They do. Shop owners don't understand this, and they say it doesn't work in your area. Well, you won't know until you try it. And
Mm-hmm.
I always tell everyone to try it for at least 6 months. And if the car count goes up, then something's working, because you might not get a customer that actually clicks on the ad, but then subliminally
Yep.
they saw the ad, right? And they saw your shop, they know where your shop's at. The next thing you know, they're in an accident. They're talking to their insurance company, like, you know what, go get some estimates.
Yeah.
Well, they go, you know what, there was a shop that I saw. I'm going to go buy it and see it.
Mm-hmm.
So unknowingly, they now know your name of your shop, and they're going to come by and get an estimate. So whether they say they saw you online or not, as long as the numbers increase with you promoting,
Mm-hmm.
then you know the marketing is working. The
Yeah.
sad thing is what happens when business gets slow, we get scared. Fear comes in again, right? So the first thing we want to cut is marketing. And I say no. First thing you can do is, you know, lay people off if you have to, or put them on a furlough where they work 1 week and then they don't work next week. There's a lot of things you can do. And then start to economize on your expenses. Call up all your vendors. You know, hey, can I get a cheaper phone bill? Hey, can I get this deal better? And this is when you really want to clean the facility, spend time organizing, getting rid of all the trash, and the numbers will increase. So you acknowledge the fear, and then you just take it head on, like, and be okay with it, because you got to remember, you opened the business and there was a lot of scary things going on when you were thinking about
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So marketing's definitely misunderstood, because no one's ever been through training and
Mm-hmm.
understood it fully, right? Because why would you? You
Yeah.
know, there's not that many companies out there today that offer really legit understanding on marketing. Like I went through a training program and they really taught us how to understand it and how to build marketing pieces
Mhm.
based on surveys. So it's a very detailed deal. But you do got to understand is now that we have social media, you got to do something. You got to do something. And organically, you should be posting a minimum of 10 posts a day.
Mhm.
Um, and then you got to have some paid ads to back it. You got to have some Google presence. So you got to spend money,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
and speaking of the like you mentioned the subliminal um kind of the offhand benefit of getting marketing out there, right? Is a customer sees you, they understand your brand, they see your logo, they see your shop, right? There's a friend of mine, he works with um a really big AC repair company. They do a lot of AC repair and AC installations in Arizona, and he's
Oh
running
God.
yeah, he's running. I don't know exactly how much, but he says um, where he's from in Arizona, you can't drive anywhere without seeing his billboard. And he speaks with the owner. He's like, "Why are you doing these billboards? They're so expensive." And the owner tells him, "Whenever we're running these billboards, our cost per click on Google goes down 70%. So it affects it in so many different ways, right? Because when somebody thinks of AC repair in the summer in Arizona, that's the first place they're going, right? The guy they see on the billboard every day when coming home from work. So that's one example, but you don't have to be that in your face, or you don't have to spend that much money on marketing to see those benefits. You just need to put something out there. You can do it for free on social media. If you're staying consistent and you have some sort of reach and you're building a community, then you're going to see this similar benefits, right? It's going to help you in multiple different ways, even when you're spending money on advertising. So, yeah, we see that a lot as well. So, I mean, this definitely resonates with me as well. Like this is a really great conversation. I feel like, especially going into the fear, right? We were kind of touching on sales a little bit in that conversation. How can we take this mindset and move it into the sales mindset, or how can body shop owners be better in their sales process?
Well, for one, the owner should be off the front counter. He shouldn't be doing the sales
Mm,
because he's so entrenched, right? And he's stressed because he's got to have the money to pay the bills, and production's not happening. So I always suggest it's easier to hire someone on the front end, and then you just manage the back end. Make sure the cars are getting fixed properly and the
mm,
quality's still there, and the cars are getting delivered. It's much less stressful. You're not dealing with the customers. I always thought this, and I've mentioned it in a few of my meetings with other shop owners. Like, I feel like the front office staff, to me, that's the dirtiest job in the shop.
mm,
Meaning, like, even cleaning the toilets is cleaner than dealing with the stuff up front because the customers come in, somebody just ran into their car, it's 6 months old. I would be upset. Like, the
mm,
guy didn't even see me and he plowed into my quarter panel, and now it's a $6,000 claim. Is the car ever going to be the same?
mm,
So the office has to deal with that, and get them to a place they feel comfortable with you. They feel comfortable the car is going to be back to better than new. And most of the time, the cars are better than new because there's more corrosion protection if you're replacing a panel to some degree. And the paint now has a lifetime warranty. All the manufacturers warranty their paint work for lifetime. So it's better than the manufacturer because manufacturer only warranties, I think, for 3 years. So if there's any peeling or anything like that, it's covered. So
mm,
when it comes to sales, I think the owner comes off the front. You hire a good estimator, and they read some books. And there's a lot of sales books out there, and really gravitate to you're a salesperson. Yeah,
mm,
you're an estimator, but you're a salesperson. You can train a really good customer service person to not even write the estimate and just sell the job and sell the shop and get the keys. And that takes training and that takes practice over and over and over. And you really don't need to give the customer an estimate. They've been doctrinized by the insurance companies
mm,
and trained to go get your three estimates. Like, that's what we hear. Oh yeah, the insurance company told me to get an estimate. Of course they did. But what they were trying to tell you is go find a shop that you want to have your car fixed. So we always change the conversation to like, Yeah, we get it. The insurance company wants you to find a shop that you are going to trust to fix your car. And guess what? We are the shop. We're
Hmm.
certified to fix your car. Whether you say you're Honda certified and you're not, but you are certified if you're iCar Gold,
Hmm.
because your technicians go through that training. So it just depends on the language you want to use, but you never. There's a couple do's and don'ts in sales. And again, so you hired an estimator. He has to get trained on his position, and that takes time. But if the owner has the training and understands the sales process, he can then train that person. Um, and then basically the sales will increase. That was one of the changes I saw when I got out of the front office and hired another estimator. Our sales went up $10,000 a week.
Hmm.
And that was because his job was just sales and he didn't have to focus on anything else. I
Hmm.
ran production, I ordered the parts. Um, so I handled the back end of the shop and they handled the front end. And then eventually I just hired a production manager, like I said earlier. So you got to get sales down and closing ratio percentage should be, and it should be monitored on a weekly basis. So if you get 10 customers that come to the door, you should close eight of them. So it should be 80%. And there's a couple of things that you want to stay away from. One of them is making a customer wrong. You don't want to do that.
Hmm.
You want to educate them on the process, and they say, well, that's not what my insurance company told me. Okay, I understand. Hey, Bob, I understand. Sometimes the insurance companies don't know how we process claims. They know how their system works. We know how our system works. This is how we do it. We get the car in the shop, we take it apart, we write a complete cost of repairs.
Hmm.
Estimate is no longer in the conversation. um, CCC1 now has a program that you can take photos and the AI writes the estimate. It happens in like minutes. So if you want to know about that, call CCC1. If you have the advanced program, you can get it. It's part of your package. You might not even be using it. And then I get this all the time. People say, "Oh, well, I write a better estimate." I'm sure you do, but at least I have an estimate. I can go through real quick and change some of the times, print it out, and I have an estimate done in 5 minutes. And then I got to go back out and resell the job. Then I go back out, go over the whole process. Okay, here's our cost. Here's the estimate that we originally wrote. This is the estimate, but we still need to get it in the shop, take it apart, plug it into our scanner, check to see if there's any codes. You're not going to see them on your dash. And you explain the whole system. And then while you're doing that, you're actually building a relationship. And when we start those conversations, we always try to get some reality. So when you walk out to the car with the customer, try to acknowledge something about the car. Wow, that's a great color. I like that color. I'm a big fan of red. I love red, you know. And or you see a car seat. Oh, you have kids. Yeah, I have two. Yeah, so do I. That's great. You see a sport team sticker. Oh, you're a Raider fan. That's great. So am I. Whatever it is. And even if it was a sticker, a baseball team or a football team that I wasn't a fan of, I'd still acknowledge it. Man, I think they're doing well this year, just to start to build some trust. And then you go into your sales tool. Like you got to go over the repair and then talk to them about the process. And then you always ask them, well, great. Now that we've seen the repair, you know our process.
Hmm.
You want to drop it off today or do you want to schedule it for Friday? I never ask them a question they can say no to. So, would you like to drop it today? No. So I always give them two things, and I don't say I'm going to give them two things. I just tell them, would you like to drop it, leave it now? We can just give you a ride home, or would you like to schedule it for Friday? And again, you're controlling the conversation at that point, and they're like, you know what? You said a lot of great things. My insurance companies, said go find a shop. And I tell them during the process that we handle the claim. Like we'll call the insurance company, tell them the car's here, and we take it over from here. You just give us the claim number and the insurance company's name, and we got it from here. All we got to do is get you home or get you to a rental car. You tell me what direction you want to go. Leave it today or drop it off on Friday. So I want to try to control the communication.
Hmm.
So the customer comes in, do the estimate, and they're like, man, I got to think about it. Hey, man, I understand. You got to talk to the wife, whatever, to see scheduling, whatever. So is tomorrow, what time tomorrow is a good time for me to call you back to check in? I never tell them, well, call us, let us know what when you make a decision. No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you tomorrow. What's a good time for you? Because you want to control the communication. So then you call them the next day at 2 o'clock. Hey, Bob, did you talk over with your wife? Or Mary, did you talk over with your husband? When are we going to drop the car off for repairs? I still go to the assumed close.
Mm.
You know what? Yes, my husband says yes, let's roll with it. We'll drop it off on Friday. And if you can help us with the rental car, that'd be great. Great. I'm gonna transfer you back to my customer service rep in the front, and she'll handle the rental. And then I transfer the call. She builds the file, she gets them on the schedule, and here we go. Car's coming in. So again, you got to have a system and a process.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot easier to work on the process when you're not in it, right? When you're not forced to be in it all the time. So yeah, it's better to work on it when you're not in it. So that's a really, I mean, it's just crazy to think. Talk about fear, right? Hiring a writer or hiring somebody to handle the front of house, getting customers in, stepping out of that role. I mean, I feel like that's the hardest role to get body shop owners out of, right? Because that's the most, I mean, how do you outsource that, right? I know in our industry it's sales, right? Getting people getting out of the sales role. I mean, even me, I'm thinking, well, if I'm not there to talk to these potential prospects, they're not learning about our story and this and that. But, I know we're not going to be able to grow if we don't train a salesperson. So we're working on that right now. But yeah, that's the fear that you have to step into for sure. So an outflow leads to inflow. That was a big one. That was a big thing that stood out to me. So what about, I wanted to also ask about there's something I heard that you said, like pretty much having the mindset of the long-term perspective for your customers, right? This kind of goes into asking for Google reviews, but just keeping your customer in mind. Every customer interaction is about building a long-term relationship, right? Um, how does that fit into the whole sales process? Like, I mean, I'm sure it fits into every part of it, right? What you're saying to them, the customer journey, the customer experience, right? Asking for the reviews at the end. Yeah, how should a shop owner think about the long-term perspective of a customer?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Angel. So what I was trained with was every customer's worth about $150,000 in sales.
Geez.
So when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, holy smokes, this is for collision. These are collision numbers. I'm not sure about marketing, but
Yeah.
collision numbers are about 150,000. And how does that work? Well, they have family members, they have friends, and they're sending people. If they really, really fell in love with the shop, man, the service was amazing. The repair was great. I don't have any troubles. And if I did have trouble, they took care of it right away.
Hmm.
They even had a loaner car for me. It handled the hassle of the rental. Like, this is positive ideas in their head. And then when they refer people, that's all money,
Hmm.
coming back to the shop. So this is why I push quality so hard, because there's a lot of shops that don't really push it, and they don't have a system to track it. And what I mean by a system is some sort of check sheet that everyone checks off saying they did their work. Someone else verified the work was good. This is from the body repair to the prep to the paint to the polish to the detail to completed, and then the car's done out front, and then who finally signs off on everything's functioning. Radio's at the right volume. It's actually working. All the doors open and close. There's no dust in the interior. It's clean. There's no smudges or grease prints on the headliner. And then we always wipe down the panels with a
Hmm.
product called Final Inspection. And we wipe down the panels. And this is what I found during COVID, actually, because we didn't do it before COVID, because I was the one now doing the inspections. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wipe these panels down. And I fastly realized small smudges, fingerprints, sometimes a little bit of compound in sort of some of the fuel door edges. And so I would just wipe down the glass and everything. And then it sparkled. And then if I saw something like a piece of dirt down at the rocker, you know what? We need to take care of this. Because what if we have a customer that's on his knees? You don't know. But by wiping it down, it signified, hey, this looks good, or hey, we got to fix this. Send it back to detail, have them fix it, and bring it back out front. Do the same process all over, and then you sign it. meaning I verified the repairs. And it really cut down on customers doing their own quality check. Because once they see the car and everything looks fantastic, and the doors open and close, there's no dust inside, it's all clean, the radio works, the windows open, roll up and down, like the car starts, then they just drive away. They'll never look at the car again, you know?
Hmm.
So those are key points. And again, it is a shift in how you operate. It's a shift in what you're thinking. Um, and again, you can go down that rabbit hole as every customer's, a pain in the ass. Well, then every customer is going to be a pain in the ass. But if you say all my customers are delightful to deal with and
Yep.
they're amazing, and so that's how you grow your customer base. And if you have a customer base with a customer list, you can activate that list and send mailers to them.
Hmm.
You can send them little thank you cards when the card goes with a little referral card to refer a friend for $50 or something. There's again, that's outflow.
Hmm.
So you should tap into your customer base and you should market to them just to remind them that you're in business. You can send them a newsletter every half a year. And again, that's outflow. That's letting people know that you're still in business.
Hmm. So yeah, I think I mean, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, right? That quote by Henry Ford, right? Um yeah, so whether you think your customers are amazing and the source of your business or whether you think they all suck, you're right. But that's really I think a key there is thinking of customers as bringing in more than what they're there for the first initial job, right? They're worth about 150,000 in sales. That's just a mindset shift that's going to make you approach customers differently on a day-to-day basis. That's really great. And then obviously what that's going to do too is make your marketing a lot cheaper, right? If somebody's recommending a friend, they see you on Google, there's no back and forth, there's no multiple clicks. They know automatically they're going to go straight to you. It's going to make everything better, everything cheaper. It goes into different facets for sure. That's great. So, I mean, that's a really big one. Is there any other sales tips that we should mention that we didn't touch on yet?
Um, yeah, we always ask the customer when they're done with the repair, even though we're going to send them a thank you card with a referral card, we ask them, do you have any friends or family members that needs our service? We
Mm,
ask them the question before they leave. And they'll think about it like, you know what? Actually, I think my uncle wrecked his truck last week.
mm,
Great. Do you have his number? We can reach out to him. So asking for referrals is key, and nobody does it. And
mm,
it's hard to put into your conversation, but we do it on the back end when the car is delivered and they're happy,
mm.
because you don't want to ask this person if they're not happy, right? So
Yeah.
as they're delivering, like, man, the job looks great. You guys did an amazing job, and the communication was fantastic. Well, great. Do you know anybody that could use our services?
Mm,
It's a simple question. Actually, I don't, but you know what? If I know of anybody, I'll send them your way. Great. At least start that conversation. And we did all kinds of things to hold on to our customers. We had a rewards program that
mm,
we created with a little card that had stamps on it. Once the card was full, it was worth $200 in customer pay work. And that means you spent 10,000 with us because every stamp was $1,000. So if they did a couple $5,000 repairs, then they could have a $200 discount to come in and have some customer repair work done. And yeah, did we do it at a discounted rate? Yeah, but the customer held on to that card and we saw them multiple times
mm,
without a discount. And we had some customers that would come in with $2,500 jobs and we'd see them 4 times before the card was full.
mm.
So you got to be creative in those ideas on how to create people to stay with you and to come back. And
Yeah.
quality repairs is the first step. You got to do great work. Like follow the OEM procedures, do your documentation, take all your in-process photos, and own the job.
Mm,
Like you started it, you put a quarter panel on that car, you got to own the job. And then it comes with a lifetime warranty. And then you got to sell that warranty. That's another tool in your bag. Like, hey, this paint that we put on your car comes with a lifetime warranty. So this whole side of your car comes with a lifetime. The other side of your car does not. So I just want to let you know that if anything starts to peel or fade, it's covered.
Hmm.
Chipping is not covered. Rock chips are not covered because it's from impact, but we at least push the lifetime warranty because everybody that's spraying any product today, their shops should have a lifetime warranty with their paint manufacturer.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think, I mean, one of the things I wanted to mention too was the shift in mindset from thinking that, I mean, really the whole thing, our whole conversation encompasses in just instead of thinking that we are, the one who can do everything, every single role, we have to accept a little bit of help, right? I know
Yes.
yourself, you went through that same process, just like all other
Yeah.
shop owners, and now it's kind of like the student became the teacher moment now. So, I mean, yeah, if you could touch on that too, I know you have Dino's leaders. Sometimes even with the fear conversation, I mean, it just helps to have an outsider say, well, hey, don't be scared of this. This is the next step. This is the next evolution of your shop, right? Investing in marketing is the next evolution. Hiring this role is the next evolution. It's something to be scared of, and then when you step into it, it feels better. So, yeah, is there anything else that you could give us on having a coach, right? Like, what's that? Why is that important, and what can we do there?
Yeah. So this is what I do. So, you can buy a training program with a lot of these companies. There's a handful of them out there. Very, very, very expensive. But none of them come with one-on-one coaching.
Hmm.
Most of these organizations coach in groups, and it's still good, but you don't always get your conversations, you don't get your questions answered. And it's a way to cut the expenses down and then manage 30 guys in one call with one coach. My system is one-on-one. Our calls are an hour a week. And what we do is we just walk through. First, we put all the big fires out. Like, what's the biggest problem in the shop?
Hmm.
Let's address that first. And then I just give you ideas on how to think about how to solve the problem. I might not give you the solution, but I want you to start thinking a different way. And that's really what I try to build my clients up to be, is to solve their own problems, because this is what Dino would have done. This is how he has me thinking, and this is how I'm going to approach the situation. Right. So not making people wrong. I don't care. Employees. So if they screw something up, the first thing you want to do is make them wrong. I had a technician fully trained, iCar, Toyota certified, ASC certified. Like he's a training fanatic, but he wasn't a very efficient technician. He did great work. He had the largest comeback in my company history in 38 years. And we never got a chance to fix the car because my manager at the time fired him, fired the customer basically. Came in, says that the A pillar um, there was a gap between the door and the A pillar, and it was a brand new A pillar on a Corvette, and it was just he measured it incorrectly. It was off by 3 millimeters, so there was a little bit of a gap. Now it needed a whole new A pillar. Another body shop did the repairs. We were embarrassed. I was embarrassed, and I'm like, the technician was even embarrassed. So going fast forward, he had a truck on his lift, and I could have made him wrong 100 times forward, but it wasn't all his fault. We could have had the car in our shop. We could have fixed it, put a new A pillar on it ourselves. No one would have known. But he then had a truck on his lift, which was a Mark 6, and the scissor lift pulls up, lifts up the cars, and it's a certain weight limit. And it says right on it, 6,000 pounds. Well, this truck was 8,500 without the camper shell. So he lifts it up, and it actually fell off the lift,
Hmm.
and it landed on its side and almost killed another technician. But luckily, he saw what was happening and then stepped back, and the truck fell over and hit the other vehicle's mirror.
Hmm.
So we had two things to fix. The whole side of the truck, which was 14,000 in damage, and the mirror on the other vehicle. So when
Hmm.
I when I was notified about this, I went back out into the shop, and the doors were closed. They were all scared to shit. They were like, "What's Dino going to do? Well, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. Here's the plan. Let's lower the lift. Let's get the truck back over on its two wheels because fluids are going everywhere.
Hmm.
Let's get the mess cleaned up. Push the truck outside so it doesn't, you know, like let's just push it outside so I can call my insurance company. We'll get somebody down here to do an assessment, and then I got to call the customer. Is everybody okay? Yes. Everybody was okay. I think I asked that question first. Is everybody okay? My one technician that almost died was shaking. And I said, "Hey, do you need to go home?" He's like, "No, let me just go get some fluids and I'll take a walk." I go, "Perfect."
Wow.
So did I get mad at the technician? No, because we all make mistakes. We're human. So
Hmm.
that's the mind shift that I had to take was like, it's not, I can't, me yelling and screaming and
Yeah.
like losing control didn't do anybody any good. Called my insurance company, filed a claim, and it was another $14,000 job. So that's how I looked at it. Yeah, the $1,000 deductible. How are we going to cover that? Well, the technician that caused the damage says, "I'm going to come in on Saturday and I'll do enough work to cover the $1,000 deductible." Well, he did almost the entire repair.
Hmm. Wow.
It cost me nothing in labor. So
Hmm.
the shop made out pretty good. And then the customer, both sides of his truck now got repaired. The only thing that didn't get painted was the roof. Got a brand new camper shell. Both sides are beautiful. And the truck was, I think, like 12 years old. So now
Wow.
it's like the customer was super happy.
Uh-huh.
He was not happy that it was in the shop for an extra 2 weeks, but he was happy in a brand new camper shell.
Hmm.
And he is a customer for life. And me not losing my mind
Hmm.
and losing a technician, and potentially losing the one that almost died, like calm
Yeah.
him down and make sure that everyone's okay. And
Yeah.
again, mindset shift. You can be angry all you want, but it's like, nope, this is I'm running a business, and what's the best thing for everybody,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, really, it's expensive, but that's an investment in that employee, right? Like
Yeah.
that guy's going to be a lot more careful from now on. I mean, I think there's a story of like this like famous pilot. I don't know if you've heard this one. There's like a famous pilot who, for some reason, the airplane technician put the wrong fuel in this plane that he was flying. It was an older plane,
Oh my
and
God.
the plane stopped working midair, and he had to like mayday land in a field, and he survived. And everyone thought that this technician was going to get chewed out, but he took him under his arm, and he's like, "Well, I want this guy to fuel my plane tomorrow because he's going to be way more certain that he's putting in the right fuel." Yeah, it's sort of the same thing there. I mean, it's an expensive investment, but that's a loyal employee right there. So, um,
Well, and the conversations, here's the thing, it's character building, right? For the owner. Because now this employee tells other people what happened. And he's like, "Well, did the boss yell at you?" Yeah, actually, he didn't.
mhm,
Dude. Then when this travels through the technicians, like this
yeah,
guy's amazing to work for, guess what you're gonna find?
mhm,
As soon as you post an ad on Indeed, you're gonna get people calling you saying, "Yeah, you know what? I've always wanted to work at your shop."
mhm,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. He's like, "I've heard great things about your equipment, and you're always you love great equipment. You always give it to the technicians, whatever they're required. And then you run a great facility. You're a great owner." And it's like then guess what? You have no trouble finding great technicians. But if you're a hard ass and you're screaming and yelling at your staff, you're not going to find people because they don't want to come work for people like that.
yeah.
So
I think
I coach
oh yeah,
I
sorry.
coach on that. That's
Mhm,
part of the coaching is your attitude.
mhm,
Like you need to fire yourself from being an estimator because you're not a good estimator. You're firing your customers on the phone before you even seen the car. "Oh,
mhm,
well, I just know." I go, "I don't care what you think you know. I want the customer in the door so you can then see the car. Oh, yeah, it's an 89 Pinto. I don't want to work on it." And then, we actually stopped working on certain years because you couldn't get parts. I think it was '06 and older, we
mhm,
didn't work on. You just couldn't get parts. But if it was cosmetic stuff, no problem. So it all goes back to mindset.
yeah,
And then you got to change your attitude. You got to change your thoughts and how you approach everything. And when you say that that doesn't work in my area,
mhm,
trust me, it will work in your area. It just needs to be tweaked to fit your demographic and your public. That's
mhm,
all.
yeah,
But no marketing is not good. You
mhm,
want to do something,
yeah.
something.
Something. And I mean, it's kind of just like an ego check a little bit, right? It's might be hard to hear, but if we leave the ego at the door, just drop the ego, embrace the learning, be a sponge. And that's going to trickle down into everything. It's going to trickle down into how you treat your staff, how they treat you, how happy you are, your time off of work and everything in between. So, um, yeah, that's very, very honestly really insightful. I feel like this was probably one of our best conversation so far. This is a lot that we covered here. Yeah, we're coming up on the end here. Is there anything else that you wanted to
I,
mention or you want to leave?
I think there's a line, we've said it probably in the other training episodes we did. I think um, doing the same thing over and over, everyone's heard this, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different
Yep.
result is the definition of insanity.
Hmm.
And so anytime you're approached to do something different is when you really need to think about what are you really doing, and could it solve your problem? And sometimes you just don't know.
Hmm.
Like, you know, you could try it and go, you know what, it didn't really work. You know,
Yeah.
okay, at least I know now. Now I have the data to back it up. Like that doesn't work in our market, but hey, this might work.
Hmm.
So having that idea that you got to change, and no one likes change. It's just embedded in us so deeply, you know. It just really is. So you got to adopt that. And we built manuals, and we were always updating them. The manual never stayed stagnant more than 2 years. Every year I'd go through it and look at all the policies and the processes and go, we don't do this anymore. We got to change it.
Yeah.
So your technicians, you teach that in the culture of your shop is change is good. Look at the cars. I mean, when I started fixing cars in 87, there were no sensors, there were no accident avoidance systems, there was no anti-lock brakes, there was no airbags. And then so my entire career, we were still using gravity or siphon fed paint guns, lacquer and enamel. And then the paint changed dramatically, went to a urethane solvent, then to a urethane water base. And
Hmm.
then the paint guns changed from siphon fed to gravity fed.
Hmm.
So my entire owning body shops, like over 38 years, I've seen so many changes with just the equipment, the paint, and then you throw the cars in there. Then we got anti-lock brakes, then we got airbags, then we got bumper sensors, then we got accident avoidance. So if you don't adapt to change, you're in a changing industry,
Yeah.
right? You just gotta embrace it, and then and also, like I said, embrace the fear. Those
Yeah.
are those are my tips of the day.
Awesome. Change, embrace the fear, be a sponge. I think that's
Yeah,
great. I mean, like I said, I think this is one of our best conversations that we've had so far. I'm excited for the people to see this. I think a lot of people, need to hear what you're saying. So, speaking
yeah.
of that, how can the people get a hold of you?
So Facebook page, Dino's Leaders. You can message me there. Go there. You can also email me at Dino's Leaders at proton.me, or my cell phone number is 707-479-3713. So
Awesome.
three different ways.
Yep. And one of the really great resources that you have that people should definitely take a hold of. Collision Shop Owners Collaborate, the Facebook group. There's a ton of
Yep.
body shop owners in there, which is a little bit different than the other body shop groups on Facebook. There's a couple really big ones, but like you were saying, they allow a lot of text in there, and you can't have the hard conversations that you should have with other body shop owners. So,
Well,
Collision Shop
some
Owners.
of the technicians aren't happy. You can see it. They're
Yeah.
not working in the greatest environment. The shop is not that nice, and
Hmm.
they're not happy. And then you can see it in what they post and the
Yep.
anger. You can see it, and I go, I don't want that. That's all negativity. So
Mhm.
I'm like, my group is positivity, great operators, and there are some younger shop owners in there, and they're just watching. If someone posts something, we just ask for people to post a question,
Yep.
and then some people will respond, but it's a good place to go for help because there's 900 of us in that group and they're all shop owners.
Yeah, it's great, really great stuff in there for sure. And that's the biggest thing, the only shop owners. I know you're very
Yep.
diligent on making sure that only shop owners are in there. So good
Yep.
conversations, and the people should definitely take advantage of it. So anyway, that's great. I think this has been great.
Cool.
Again,
Awesome.
thanks for being on. We're gonna
Yeah.
definitely do this again soon. So yeah, this has been great. I appreciate it.
All right, well, thanks everybody.
All right,
See
see you
you
guys in the
later.
next one.